Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan Butler, author of A Saga on Home Video. This time we take a look at something that we have seen before, but in a different version. That tends to be something we see happening a lot lately because we've covered such a giant breadth and scope in this series' 300 episodes if you count the supplemental ones at this point? You may recall that the very first VHS release of any kind of a Star Wars product was this. This is The Making of Star Wars, as told by C-3PO and R2-D2 from 1979 through Magnetic Video. Then we saw this get re-released in 1980 to include a special trailer for The Empire Strikes Back. We saw both of those previously. We also recently looked at the 1980 Betamax version, or Beta version, I guess Betamax is Sony specific, so Beta version, that we saw also from Magnetic Video, but we haven't seen the 1979 version because I haven't got my hands on that one. We also took a look, at one point, at the UK version of the same thing, with very, very different packaging there for that original 79 version here. Pretty cool. Now, something that we don't see very often anymore, thanks to the fact that most modern formats actually have multiple language options available, is products being released in North America, particularly in the US and Canada, primarily Canada, that you would have multiple language versions of that you'd have to purchase separately. Kind of like when we looked at that Spanish translated version of the 1995 THX Remastered trilogy on VHS that had burned in subtitles in Spanish. That was a US release, but a separate language from the English version that you could also have bought at the time, which just didn't have the subtitles built into it. Well, in Canada, it's generally not English and Spanish that's the issue. It's English and French, the French-Canadian version of French. And given the time when The Making of Star Wars was released, obviously no modern formats existed yet. So if you were going to have a French-Canadian version of it speaking French, or somehow for the French audience, it's either going to have French subtitles or French dubbing. One of the two. That's what we want to look at here. This is the 1979 version. You can tell by no Empire Strikes Back thing and the way that this is set up on the back and so on. The 1979 version of Making of Star Wars on VHS from Canada. You can see right here, Version Français, or something along those lines. It is a French-Canadian version, a Canadian version that is in French. This entire thing is dubbed in French. No subtitles, dubbing. So otherwise, the package on the front looks pretty much the same, and you got your little window here. The sides effectively the same, the top effectively the same. The back essentially the same, except it does have a sticker going across the bottom with CBX Fox Video, Canada Limited, etc., etc. This makes me think that even though this is the 1979 version, it was possibly released later than that, though I don't see another date on here anywhere, because it does have CBS Fox Video, not just 20th Century Fox Video, etc., etc., Magnetic Video, for that matter, on it. Okay, and that carries over to the other side, just as that sticker carrying over. Now, the cassette itself still has the original 1979 version of the Magnetic Video logo on it, just like the packaging is the 79 version. Now, this, I'm assuming, must have come from a rental place, but I left the sticker on here just because I think it's kind of cool. Right? Only someone who is from another country would think this sticker is cool, because all that it says is the equivalent of our Be Kind Rewind, right? S'il vous plaît, SVP. And then the word underneath it there, which I won't even try to pronounce correctly, because I'm sure I will botch it, just means rewind. So, rewind, please, or please rewind. Otherwise, no other markings. I mean, that I think is just from maybe the original rental store or something like that. But yeah, it looks like the 79 version from the outside on the tape and on the packaging, though it doesn't have, I recall the 79 version actually does have a label for the US. Maybe it had one in my copy, just has it gone. Maybe it never had one to begin with. Don't know. But the only immediate indicator on the packaging that this is indeed a French version is that little bit right there that says it's the French version. You pop it in, though, everything is dubbed in French. And I must say, I actually like that. I like the fact that they took the time to do an actual dubbing, because it seems like, I mean, if I was someone who was trying to watch something from a language other than my own, I would hope that they would dub it so I get that full experience rather than it being subtitled. Now, I say that also knowing that a lot of times people do get annoyed. They want to hear the original audio and just read the subtitles so they can get the original performance audio. But just as someone who tends to want to kind of do something else while watching something and you're kind of looking over from time to time, but you're mostly listening rather than watching, I definitely think dubbing is a pretty cool way to have handled this back in the day. I don't have a lot of dub stuff in my collection because I don't speak anything other than English. I'm not going to be watching something that's dubbed typically, but it is a great option that exists today on basically most of the multimedia platforms, but certainly something that back then needed something a little special, a little unusual, a little bit separate from the initial product line to make sure it really was able to cater to that audience. And this is one of them. So a cool thing, just added to the collection. Want to make sure to share that here. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the force be with the home video viewers.